Ave Regina Caelorum, Ave Domina Angelorum, Ave Regina Caelorum, Ave Regina
Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I want to welcome you to this January session of our Chartres community calls that were started back in 2005, and now we're entering our 20th anniversary year of Wisdom University that became Ubiquity University, guided by our pilgrimages to Chartres that started the very first year when I became president of the university. It is my most treasured aspect of my tenure over the past 20 years of this university, as month by month and year by year, we've dedicated ourselves to the sacred feminine, in an adoration of the feminine that we abide by in order to guide us as we seek to navigate a world of increasing hypercomplexity, and at the same time be able to enlarge the soul, as Plato called it, of all of you who are part of our community that go to Chartres for our annual pilgrimages, that participate as students in our master's and PhD programs. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to know that we are all in the same commitment to a more fully human existence through an adoration of the feminine. So welcome to 2025. We are going to be contemplating the astrology of 2025 in a moment. But before we do that, I want to comment on the fires that are going on in Los Angeles, and the fact that Banafsheh, our beloved Banafsheh, who's the co-director of the Chartres Academy, is not with us today. She's had to evacuate her home in Topanga Canyon. She went to her parents in, I think it was Westwood they live, I'm not sure. And now they're under standing evacuation orders. We're not sure exactly what is transpiring. The realities, as we know, as of today, is that the LA fire is the worst fire now in American history, with over $250 billion in damages, hundreds of thousands of people under evacuation order. As of today, 16 people dead, and that's the ones that they know of. Countless wildlife, and the winds are picking up as we speak. Banafsheh, by the way, has joined the local fire brigades, and she's watching the scanners, the videos, and listening to the discussion between firefighters and civic officials and so forth and so on. I know that Trish is down there, and a number of you that I'm not aware of who are in that LA area. Our hearts go out to all of you. We will keep everyone informed. The tragedy of climate change is that it's being 100% induced by human action. And yet, even in the face of catastrophes like the LA fires and the flooding in Spain last year and the floodings in China and the drought in North Africa and the scourge of escalating extreme weather events, there's not a single government in the entire world that is seriously doing anything about it. And that's why we have to throw ourselves on the feet of the Black Madonna, of Gaia, of Mary Magdalene, of Mother Mary, of Durga, Ishtar, Inanna, the sacred feminine. Because it's in times of duress that the feminine is the most active, both to bring us to justice, but also to lead us to redemption. And so the adoration of the sacred feminine, the divine feminine, is not simply a spiritual practice. It is a spiritual practice, but more fundamentally, it's a navigation instrument. It's an intelligence who guides us on our wayward journey through the complexities of our lives. So I just want to welcome you all in that spirit. Send our love and blessings to Banafshe and others that are in the fire zone, with the hope and the prayer that all will be well and all manner of things shall be well, and the fire and the rose shall be one. So thank you, everyone. Welcome to our January Chartres community call. As we prepare ourselves for our gathering in July 6th through 12th in Chartres, for one of the most extraordinary sessions that were had in the entire 20 years, in my judgment. We're going to be contemplating the sacred geometry, the living geometry of water, with Veda Austin, who is the world's foremost water researcher, as you all know, those of you who've been following her on Humanity Rising and elsewhere. I encourage all of you to Google Veda Austin, start watching her videos. She's going to be with us in Chartres to lead us in an exploration of the living intelligence of water. But now we want to honor the beginning of 2025, and I'd like to invite Carolyn Casey on. You all know Carolyn. She's our in-house astrologer, and she lives in the Washington, D.C. area, actually. And so Carolyn is going to give us an overview in the next 15, 20 minutes of what we can expect astrologically for 2025, and then we'll dialogue and entertain your questions for the balance of the time. Carolyn, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful lead in. You know, after the election, I was scheduled, and I did get onto a plane to go to California with many things to do. And I was like, oh, I want to just stay home with the dogs under the blanket. But so the first radio show after the election played Leonard Cohen's song, "You Want It Darker." It's like, I guess we did. I guess we did. He wrote that song in 2016 after Trump was elected the first time, put it out, and then he died. But 1,000 candles lit for the help that never came, you extinguished the flame. Go, ooh. But as Jim just said, you want it darker. It's like, all right, we'll go darker. We'll go deep, powerful, darker. I've been including, yes, all that you mentioned and invoked the power of metaphor and calling in the powerful images with which to cooperate. So I've been including dark moon Lilith as part of the astrological vocabulary. It's not a body, it's a point where the moon, if the moon's orbit were circular, it would balance out. But dark moon Lilith comes with all the company that Jim invited just now, and also the goddess Nemesis. And I heard a lecture, Chalmers Johnson, years ago, and he said, you know, the goddess Nemesis, it's come to mean enemy, but that's not it. She's the goddess that brings down unjust empire and unjust fortune. We go, all right, let's bring her in. So as we begin, right, 2025, right, the horrific fires, the hellscape unfurling before us, as Jim just said, we know is brought about by humans having been really bad Earth citizens. We're in the find out part of the thing, you know, bleep around and find out, you know. So we have competent, medium competent leadership response for 8 more days. And then after that, it's just community. It's just community. It's all of us. It's all of us. So therefore, yeah, there's a full moon to start us immediately. Immediately, there's a full moon on January 13th. And on that full moon, it's the complementary full moon to the July 21st, 2024 full moon, which was the sun in Cancer, the moon in Capricorn. This is the reverse, the sun in Capricorn, the moon in Cancer. The instructions are to grow structures of our community governance that are to protect life, to protect life. And so this full moon has a lot of participation available to it. So in this beautiful language of astrology, which is really the language of what it is to be a fully participatory Earth citizen, that's really what astrology is. We have all these skills that we dust off. And as I mentioned, the planets, they are all within each one of us. The planets represent living qualities of intelligence that reside within us and connect us to the world. So as I mentioned them, you can feel them inside you. And part of the dynamic of now is that everything in the world pours into all of us in some customized form. So off we go. So this full moon will be also participatory, right? So with astrology, it's not what's going to happen, it's what's the assignment. And it's not what's going to happen, but what's available with which to participate. So this full moon right now, during the full moon, the moon will occult Mars, right? The moon will cover Mars. In the Washington, D.C. area, it'll be from 9:16 p.m. to 10:31 p.m. It's a dark time of magic. It's a powerful time of magic. On the West Coast, in San Francisco, it'll be 5:58 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. But you can just watch it, right? And the the moon will cover Mars, and we go, the moon, in a sense, guides Mars, because we might say, everywhere we look is uninitiated Mars. This horrific, these stupid wars that we can ill afford. The whole concept of tyranny. What must we die to, lest we die from? So the opportunity where the moon occults Mars, Big Mama Moon, says, Mars, you follow here. Mars is on a vision quest now. It is so Mars in service to life, Mars in service to life, and we see extraordinary things. I'll show a clip in our ramble together of the incredible pilots. Some American, some Canadian. Again, Mexicans showing up. Community, real community that transcends tyranny and smallness. So yeah, and so much lost, and absolutely embracing Banachet and all the creatures and the small things that are large and pertinent things. Just the video of a man trying to rescue a little rabbit, and he's like, no, the fire, and he's like, no, oh, that little small thing, like, oh, each life is precious. And of course, in Altadena, the Theosophical Society has burned to the ground. We're losing so much on every kind of level. Any story, the entire property of the Theosophical Society has been completely destroyed. This was the world's, somebody writes, the largest archive of theosophical materials, library with 40,000 titles, unpublished letters, original manuscripts, on and on, original manuscripts of Jacob Burma, gifts, sacred art from the King of Siam, rare Buddhist scriptures, all of it gone. And Pluto, we'll introduce Pluto. When the Bamiyan, excuse me, when the Bamiyan Buddhas were destroyed by the Taliban, we go, oh, but then we say, may the spirit, may the blessing contained in those Buddhas, may the sacred teachings in all those books and all that's been destroyed be liberated to waft into collective atmosphere by the destruction of their form. And we go, ooh. So let me bring up the chart of now. just to orient us. Okay, so here we go. So here's the chart of now. This is Washington, D.C. This is the Earth. This is the line of the horizon. The only thing different is this is east, this is west. But it's where all the planets are now, and this year, every outer planet will change signs. The outer planets, Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus, are keepers. They represent huge forces of nature's intelligence, and they are keepers of the whole huge conversation, cultural and biological, and they are deconditioning. So Pluto, death, rebirth, it dipped into Aquarius a little bit in 2023 and then was like, no, let me go back into Capricorn to see if the structures of community support are sufficient for the crisis we're heading into. And then it's like, some yes, mostly no, back in. And then on November 19th, Pluto entered Aquarius full on for 20 years. And we notice everything. November 19th is the date of the Gettysburg Address. The government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. And we do an animistic upgrade that government of the earth, by the earth, and for the earth shall prevail. So Pluto, death, rebirth, and it gives us a cauldron. It gives us a cauldron. And Pluto says in Aquarius, which is community, but also the toxic mimic of community, which is a cult. And a cult is where anybody outsources their autonomy. We'll honor this, as opposed to community. And community, the whole realm of horizontal organizing. So when I headed out to California with many things to present, going, oh, what are we going to do? Going, everything, all of us, every chapter of our lives, every useful thing, we pull it up to practice. We will study anything as long as it's useful, and now is the time of practice. So, so Pluto is opposite Mars. So astrologers were like, oh, it's very volatile. That's the description. Remember, our word disaster means against the stars, and our word consider means with the stars. So we are right now gathering to consider, to avert greater disaster, and with infinite compassion, because the community of the grieving is expanding. So it's Los Angeles, it's Gaza, it's Sudan, it's everywhere where human cruelty has prevailed. And what is it to be good Earth citizens? And again, the community that extends beyond the national borders or any one group, it's like, ooh. So so Pluto gives us a cauldron into which to throw things. And grief is a huge community. Grief is love. Grievance is hatred. Tyranny runs on grievance and hatred, right? And so we throw that into the cauldron. And for all of us participating now, we go, we check ourselves, do we have any grievance? The fate of the world requires humans to toss all grievance into the cauldron and ladle out grief and kinship. So part of our training is that tyranny does terrible things, which makes us angry and polarized, and tyranny runs on polarity. So it's like, ooh, how to be savvy, how to be large, how to create our own project 2025. So, Rumi says, Rumi was a great astrologer, when fate and danger cross in the sky, you cannot avoid it. Your only assignment is to run towards it, and cooperate. Cooperators are standing by. So if Leonard Cohen says you extinguish the flame, we light the flame. We light the flame together with all these beautiful, beautiful human citizens, Earth citizens. How wonderful! And I have here many kinds of muti. Muti is from the Sangomas of South Africa. It means power and medicine. True power is that which heals. we don't source power. We invite it. We invoke it. And so in honoring Pluto, I have some muti, different kinds of muti, but I have some muti that was grown for me by Sangomas in South Africa. And they said, if you are meeting with dedicated, good-hearted people, medicine people at a time of danger, you may use this because it's for medicine teachers, all of us here. And this is called umpepo, and it opens the avenues, the portals between backstage and on stage, between us and the ancestors and who we want to call in. So with the Gettysburg Address on November 19th, when Pluto entered Aquarius, I like Pluto going, let me grab a copy of this to take into the next 20 years, right? And we go, okay. So here's our muti. And then I also have coyote hair from my accomplice, my longtime companion, Stella Coyote, actual coyote, with whom I lived for 19 years, 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days. She left behind much coyote hair. So this is our trickster selves, our Uranus, our trickster ingenious cell. It's a part of all of us that comes alive in nature and in us when things are really dangerous. It likes against all odds. It's coyote, it's raven, it's seeds that sprout after cataclysm. It's ingenuity that transcends tyranny. So here for all of us, by the power of telepathic Zoom, right, we go, oh, form in one's heart, one's dedication, compassionate trickster within us. Open the path before each one of us that we may cultivate and contribute our gifts to the community at this time of dire beauty. There we go. So off we go. So yes, and then what is so after the election debacle, many things, because the full moon on July 21st, 2024, Octavia Butler wrote 2 novels, the Parable of the Sower, in 1993, that novel begins on July 21st, 2024. And in that novel, she gets it right. The Earth's on fire, women's rights, she gets it really right. And in that novel, there's a terrible autocrat who's running for president. And and he's running against a guy who is good enough, but a pale ghost. And the autocrat wins. I'm like, so at that point, before Octavia Butler had died and before the full moon, I was like, Octavia, can we do a story rewrite? Can we do something, right? And it was on that full moon, within minutes of the exact full moon, that Biden handed the baton to Kamala Harris. So there's many ways to track things, but we are here suffusing the spiritual and the political and the everything, and there's many stories all at once, and our capacity to hold multiple stories at once and nuance and complexity are huge. But so I was tracking the election and liking the auguries, and I had a native woman, Elaine Mayumi Whitefeather, on the radio show, and she goes, my prophetic tradition has said these huge changes for 2025. We have been tracking this for a long, long time, and we knew that the figurehead would be a woman of mixed race. And it's like, okay, there's the political and the befoibled, but it looks good. And then it's like, the huge absence was the absence of the acknowledgement of Gaza was a vulnerability that allowed the dark magic of, I call them the Dementors, Steve Bannon, Opus Dei. We have just elected the Inquisition in its most buffoon cartoon form. But in 2016, and again now, I threw the I Ching going, what's this? And it answered 18, pestilence and corruption. And it said, think of putting 5 venomous creatures in a jar until one of them kills and eats the others. I'm like, well, that's happening. So tyranny, may tyranny contain the seeds of its own demise, to go, so that didn't happen. That story. And for me, I had to go, might have underestimated the efficacy of the Inquisition, the Opus Dei, the Steve Bannon, the Peter Thiel, the billionaires, but they're all kind of going after each other. So we can let that happen. Meanwhile, our powerful dedication. So Saturn is our authority, our autonomy. When we insource our authority, we suck the chi out of outer authoritarianism. We go, so for everybody, just even right now, to insource authority. So Saturn is the capacity to dedicate, define, take vows. But Saturn's job is not how. How are we going to do that? Saturn's job is what. So for all of us, we dedicate to what? We dedicate to our manifesto of dedicated devotion now, this full moon, and forevermore in 2025, to write down what we are most dedicated to as a crucial guiding. And so Saturn is what? We'll get to Jupiter and Uranus are intelligences that say, we'll do how. We're good at impossible things. You tell us what, we'll do how. So again, we make our vows. And I love, in all languages, the word vessel means container and boat, right? So we craft our vessel right now. We're crafting our vessel of dedicated devotion, and then we're going to get in it and set sail. And the word craft also means power from dedication and boat. So we're crafting our sturdy vessel with which to navigate these wild seas. I go, whew. So Saturn, when it gets a bad rap in astrology, like fear and constraint and authority, that just means outsource Saturn. Just even in the course of the day, wherever we constrict, like, ooh, we go, outsource Saturn, insource it. And metaphors are the incarnational garb whereby power enters the world. So Saturn's also our goat, our sturdy goat. It's in Pisces, so it's an all-terrain, it's a water goat. And the expression "somebody got my goat" is useful. It comes from racehorses that had a companion goat that was their best friend. And bad people before a race would get a horse's goat, leading it all frantic. But see, once in a community, we have this phrase, then we have everybody being responsible in community. Somebody got my goat, I'll get it back. Somebody got my goat, but I see my goat coming back even friskier and less obedient than before it got. We can feel its little goaty breath in our hands. We can see its little goaty. So we're insourcing our authority. Saturn will change signs. It'll enter the sign of Aries on May 26th. That happens every 29, 30 years. So the last time was cell phones and the internet, right? We didn't, only 30 years ago, right? And before that was the 1960s. So Saturn in Aries says, time for a new story. But here we are, everything is cumulative. A new story, what kind of new story? What is our dedicated to this new story? Neptune, part of I'll just describe and translate it, the opportune atmosphere available to us. So on December 6th, Mars in the sky, stationed and is on its retrograde journey, appearing to move backwards. So when a planet retrogrades, it's going backwards, and so are we. It's going on a vision quest. So Mars is going on a vision quest to be initiated Mars. Mars re-entered the sign of Cancer, which is to protect, and all the wonderful, all the wonderfulness of the word husbandry. And my ally, Robert Bly, said years ago, the loneliest person in the world is the man after industrialism, where he's got to leave the babies and making the soup and everything and tending the earth and go to like an office or a factory or a field working. And that heartbreak has created, men who might escape and grow up to be poets, but men who grow up to remove other people from their land. Go, oh, okay, right. So new story. What is the new story? So Mars retrograded on December 6th. On December 7th, Neptune, dreams, vision, imagination, stationed to go forward. So Mars, our outer life goes inward, and our inner dream, imaginary life goes outward. It assumes imaginative lead, our vision. We're all in this realm of uncertainty. Neptune says we're dissolving all certainty. There never really was any, but now there really is none. Certainty is a booby prize. Um, and the ancestors give, to all of us who've run out of certainty, a little round of applause going, look at those humans. They've run out of certainty, and they used to have so many opinions, but now they are available to mystery. A round of applause to everyone here on out going, whoo. And there's a book called Uncertain about the neurological benefits of uncertainty. The brain is more active. It's an epic chance to move from routine, and it has a cascading neural response. So we embrace and cooperate with everything. And these guys say, we just want us all to proclaim in our hearts, we're available to mystery. We're available to mystery. And there's a beautiful conversation between Neptune and Uranus, trickster genius again, and it says, Neptune says, we just want you to wonder. We wonder. And Neptune and Uranus say, whatever we all wonder about is going to attract a responsive augury. I wonder, well, okay. Even, in crisis or in fire, I wonder where to go. Oh, over there. I wonder what best I can do. Oh, so now we're in a giant conversation again. A wonderful word, con is with and verse is turning, a giant conversation. So Neptune will also enter Aries this year, March 31st, the first time since the U.S. was founded. So we go, all right, new story, new story. But here we are right now. Neptune says all the power of myths, all the power of dreams, all the power of everything we've ever studied, and we look at little Chiron, planetoid that really exists. Chiron is the first mentor. He's a centaur mentor. And my friend Deborah Falmouth, with one foot in Syria, one foot in Vermont, like you do, says, in the West, we think of the future like, whoa, and the past, who cares, right? And she goes, in the Middle East, it's the reverse. We're gazing at the past in front of us. See if you can do that. The future is invisible, and we're crafting the future by gazing at the caravan of our past ancestors. And I've been very moved by books on Harriet Tubman, who founded the Underground Railroad. We want to bring her in. We want to bring her in. We want to protect everybody. Kindness, kindness, protect everybody. My sister's caretakers are all Haitian. Everybody. And so Harriet Tubman was a remarkable woman who founded the Underground Railroad, went back into slavery to rescue 300 people, and she was a profound spiritual, dedicated animist. And she studied the stars, she studied water, she studied trees, she studied plants, and it said to Harriet, the planets were, gaseous messengers of guiding delight. And the deep water in which, she and her passengers would hide, and the the beautiful tree and the landmarks and the wonderful disobedient weeds that were healing. And the beautiful thing that said, by the end of her life, she had become these things, a guiding star, a living plant, a bracing tree. And we go, oh, so moving. So moving. May it be one of our dedications that we become these things. And just a wonderful phrase I want to pass on to all of us as available. It said, Harriet Tubman approached each day with a luminous pragmatism, right? To be a pragmatic mystic. And we go, right. All the teachings of the Theosophical Society, all the teachings of everything, come on in. We need to practice these, So, so the benefits of uncertainty, we go, aha. And the mentors. Chiron is now where Chiron was on the eclipse of April 8th of 2023. The sun, the moon, and Chiron were all there. And Chiron's back at that spot at a particular degree of solicitude. Each degree has a a metaphor associated with it. So Chiron, everything's coming alive and everything's a part of us. Everything lives in us. And as we know it, anything for which we have a name, we have a relationship. So Chiron starts a school for future cultural heroes. We're all in that school now. And he does teach Asclepius how to be the Greek god of healing, and he does teach Orpheus how to play the lute. So in antiquity, music and healing are one thing, and the ancient world peers at the modern world and says, why are you always separating what belongs together? They are one thing. Go, oh. So Chiron's students, their tasks are impossible. Here we are. Our tasks are impossible, and they always succeeded after studying with Chiron. So in Chiron's mythology, to be underestimated was considered a positive strategic advantage. And I love that. You know, for any of us who want to throw any kerfuffles or grievance into the cauldron, you know, those people don't respect me or they didn't let me in. In Chiron's mythology, Chiron goes, that's excellent. You get into Chiron school. We all get into Chiron school. And for our purposes, Chiron and Ceres Demeter, Ceres Demeter is right up here, dwarf planet, goddess of the earth. These are the two mythological founders of actual human community ritual. Mythic figures who founded real things, magnetizing metaphor into matter. So Chiron goes on a journey throughout antiquity, and he founds these cultural centers called Asclepions. And these were places what people went to at a time like now, like, whoa, of deep dedication to having a healing dream for themselves and their community. They went together for self and for community. They would get chanted down into the underworld, into the dream incubation chamber, where they'd have a powerful dream. We have some records. And then it was just spiritual common sense at the time that they would only have the power of their dream once they gave outward creative expression to this inner invisible experience. And so it is with us, you know, and Chiron's hopping up and down, everybody's hopping up and down inside us and outside us, going, do we have a dreaming thing? And we go, we do, the power of dreams, the power of dreams. Do we have a creative expressive thing? We do, this is a great team of people here. And Chiron says, okay, we got everything we need. We've got deep dedication, we've got a willingness to receive a healing dream, a willingness to go to, you know, in Arabic, it's called the Alam al-Mithral, beautiful word, the Alam al-Mithral, which is the realm of the world where symbols are real. We're there now. We're there now. You know, and so Chiron says, well, everybody's here. They have a dedicated good heart. Let's give everybody here an all-access backstage pass to the Asclepion, an all-access backstage pass to the ancient cultural center of dream incubation to heal self and community, theater, dreaming, healing theater, one thing, and it's all here. So here we go, everybody. So it's like the Alamo Mithral, and in Arabic, you know, all cultures work with dreams. You know, there's a practice called istikhara, the simple form of which you go, if there's anything I don't need to know, then never mind. And if there's anything I do need to know, then send me a dream. We go, okay. So right now is this crucial time when I said, you know, Mars is going inward, dreams are going outward. We're in a fairy tale world, you know, we're at a powerful crossroads world, but it is a strategic advantage because part of my work in the election going, we got smoked on our what should be our strong suit of Neptune, dreams, vision, participation in atmospheric magic, being public dreamers, to animate the irresistible, all-inclusive story. Come on, we're going over here. As Alan Watts says, no sense clinging to the rocks that are falling with you. Come on over here. Come on over here. Because chaos, right? So the Inquisition are chaos. They want it all to collapse, you know. But being animists, like we are, like Coyote is, like Harriet Tubman was, we talk to everything. We go, who's a good chaos? Yes, you are. Yes, you are over here to the Dementors. Who's a good economic collapse? Yes, you are, to the polluting industries, to the fossil fuel industries that we must divorce. You know, this huge awakening that is available. And we go, oh, all right. So outward life goes inward, dream imaginary life. So it's calling all pragmatic mystics, again, to set the template. And Ceres, Demeter, right, is just moved straight up overhead, dwarf planet, goddess of the earth. And she's the other founder of collective human group ritual. She's the founder of the Eleusinian Mysteries, longest gathering in human history that we know of. And we know some things, that people would march to Eleusis chanting to Dionysus, the green man, Eleutheria, Eleutheria. They'd arrive at Eleusis. It was a 9-night gig. They would drink a psilocybe mushroom ergot brew, basically LSD, psilocybe mushroom LSD, dance all night. And then everybody had a personal insight just for them, not to be said. And then everybody had a shared vision in which they saw Persephone descending into the underworld, a maiden, returning an initiated queen. And it turns out that queen is not a snooty term. It's one of the original words for a woman in her cultivated fullness. And we go, right. So that's all. So Ceres says, yes, it's why I like to call myself an entheo-astro, entheo-astro-anarcho-animist. But let's all make up our own business cards, So the strategy before us, we're crafting our vessel. But retrograde planets, Jupiter retrograde, Uranus retrograde, Mars retrograde, there's a strategy to that. Uranus says, I'm retrograde. I will go forward, outward on January 29th. So let's think of it this way, as though we're holding a bow and arrow. And in one hand, we have a bow, and in the other hand, we have a bowstring with several arrows, actually pulling it back. And I like this metaphor because the bowstring and the arrows say, we're not getting anywhere. We seem to be going backwards, right? But the bow says, no, you're really going to like this. To the degree to which we pull in and back is the degree of effective forward velocity motion. And may those arrows be tipped with compassion, with tyranny as their target. And Uranus, trickster, says to each one of us, I'm going to connect to each one of you in accord with your dedication. The dedication, the inward dedication, strengthens our outward signal. So we're more available to be danced into place with the right people at the right time. And Uranus says, I'm going to connect each one of you with a dedicated heart to the coolest, most liberating thing possible. And all I want from each one of you to seal the deal is just a gesture of willingness. We go, we're willing. And backstage goes, they've hoisted their sails of willingness, let's go. So in one way, we're pulling this arrow back, and it goes, well, if we entertain the possibility that we're all moving into a time of enhanced synchronicity and connectivity, what's the field? What do we most want to connect with? Where would we like liberating genius? Where are we willing to be an agent of liberating genius and ingenious solutions? And then we let it fly. Fatum, fatum, fatum. Just to bring the other arrow into place. So that's end of January. Fatum. It's at 23 Taurus. When the country of Israel was founded, the sun is at 23 Taurus. We go, So a year ago, Israeli progressive ally friends of mine said, do you think Israel will continue to exist? I'm like, not in this form. Not in this form. And what does it mean that the principle of equality and humans must wed the land transits a country? And we go, we don't know. Now, part of the danger, I'll keep all this short, right? But part of what Bibi wanted Trump to be in, because Bibi has this terrible nightmare dream, he wants the war with Iran. He wants the war with Iran. And we go, we want to suck the chi out of that, right? Going, no, we have things to do. We must protect life. Just whoa. And honoring the community of grief. So Uranus goes forward. We go, there are disasters, but then what's the most desirable? If we're heading into this time of enormous change and danger and loss and grief, what's the biggest dream we can all come up with? And it says, put that as a template on our altar, and all of the intelligence say, we will fill that. We will fill your vessel of dedication, and then we can all get in and set sail. Jupiter, stationing, retrograde. It will go forward on February 4th, which is exact midwinter. Midwinter is one of the four gates of power, where power is especially eager to be invited into the world. Midwinter time, it's when Persephone lights her candle and begins ascending up out of the underworld, and we with her. And Jupiter's stationing degree, Jupiter will go back to 11 degrees, is a black woman standing up for all of our rights. And I was like, I thought it, no, well, in some world, in some mythology, yes, black women standing up for all of our rights. And we go, okay. And then Jupiter goes forward. Jupiter is the intelligence of storytelling and curiosity and blessing. It's our guardian angel, that says, if we ever get too gloomy, too, oh no, overwhelmed, Jupiter is like a wise ancient grandmother part of us, maybe with a little bit of dark moon Lilith, who comes up beside us and goes, how about a cup of tea? Let's change the fixation. Let's liberate the fixation and be available. And the other way I love Jupiter as a guardian angel, well, there's several, but is that each planet, each part of all of us has a default setting. But Jupiter's primary response to life is curiosity. Everything else goes, oh my God, the suffering and the cruelty, and Jupiter goes, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And Jupiter is in Gemini. I like decolonizing astrology because astrologers go, oh, Jupiter in Gemini, it's rule Sagittarius, that's a bad place. No, it's all an assignment. Jupiter's big ideas in Gemini to be translated all of us into conversational vernacular. Let us all be storytellers, assume cultural narrative lead, inform, create the atmosphere that invites the best in everybody to come forth. Because the tyrannical dementors, they create an atmosphere of mob mind that invites the worst. So we want to be counter agents to that. And we go, all right, okay. And then Jupiter goes forward and outward. And it reminds us of complexity and nuance. Talking to my friend Deborah with one foot in Syria, going, complexity and nuance. People go, oh, Assad's gone. We go, yay, kinda. But many stories, right? Bibi's invading the Golan Heights, and there's and the women in Syria are like, oh, fundamentally. So many stories. To hold many stories at once is crucial. All of us as storytellers holding many stories, nuance and complexity, no black and white, all complex. And I love that there was a British study. Here, I'll just come back into human form here. But there was a British study about, irony. And they said to the degree to which humans are ironic is the capacity for humans to have compassion. And I love that because it's what, to be ironic requires holding at least two stories at once, what is and what should be, or what is and what people are pretending it is, right? And to be compassionate is the art of holding more and more stories at once, more and more stories at once. So that's kind of our assignment. And then as Jupiter goes forward at midwinter, again, we let this other arrow fly. Fatum! What's the most desirable, all-inclusive, irresistible story for all of us to put forth in every conversational opportunity, whether it's public speaking or somebody, shopping in the market, whatever. Each one is an opportunity, for curiosity and to find some common theme, at this time. We go, whoo. So yes, I could go on and on, but I see I've done quite enough. But if people want to ask questions, or if you want to ask questions, Jim, but I do just have one thing for us to throw grievance into the cauldron, to throw tyranny into the cauldron, to throw cruelty into the cauldron. So out of the human repertoire, and just to oh wait, there is. Well, am I going far over, or do I have a couple more minutes, Jim?
No, go ahead. Take a few
Okay.
more.
Okay, just a few more things for fun. Okay, so everybody, let's do magic now. Magic simply means a willingness to participate with everything, into the cauldron. So think of somebody that one feels grumpy about, not a big obvious thing like a Trump person or whatever, but just somebody in your own personal life that you go, oh, and throw that grievance into this cauldron, to be liberated from it. Mm. and ladle out grief, love, dedication, well-wishing. I think a grievance, we define everything as anything, any impediment between me and wishing that person liberating well. And Jupiter says, what is the one way of relating to the world and everything in it that's guaranteed replenishing and never depleting? And Jupiter says, blessing, blessing, may it go well for you, may it go well for you. And then I just wanted to show a briefly, very briefly, I feel, so on one level, here we are. This is 2025. We go, all right, our seatbelts are buckled. There we go. And then I just want to bring up one beautiful, heartening thing. Oops, it went away. No, I guess I won't. But no, sorry about that. There's I'll send it. You can send it out in the notes, But I like humor, right? And so we go, right? It says, meanwhile in Greenland. Okay, so there's that dynamic, and then the thing that went away, but I will send. All right, I will give up on it, but it's just a wonderful, wonderful. Positive Mars. Positive Mars. It's the pilots swooping up water and incredibly deftly pouring the water out. And those are pilots from America and from Canada. And it's like positive Mars with water, quenching the conflagration. May we ally with that kinship.
Great stuff, Carolyn. Great stuff. Let me see if I can summarize what I understood you to be saying, which was both brilliant and very incisive, that with all the turbulence and tyranny and chaos and cruelties in our world, our real accountability is, in the first instance, to create deeper community and to learn the art of navigating uncertainty and to bring into embodiment a new story. Would that summarize generally what you were trying to give us? Is that the astrological council for 2025?
Yes, that's good. And Mars in Cancer says, go back into history, go back into history, go back into the founding of this country. We've never had a democracy, really, but we might want to give it a try. I love Astra Taylor's book, which is called Democracy May Not Exist, but We'll Miss It When It's Gone. And, it's a good title. And then, liberation and freedom. Leonard Peltier, come on, Joe, pardon, clemency. And, again, necessary miracles. And I love how, the esoteric is informing the secular. Timothy Snyder, who writes on, on tyranny, but he goes, we need to set up a shadow government, not shadow like deep state thing, but following. And this is for everybody. Pick a cabinet post or invent one that you want to be and say what it would be. And many people can, I'm the Department of Necessary Miracles, but I have people signing up for health, just to give that statement. And then just a little bit, Enemy of the State, great movie. The Gene Hackman says, their strengths are their weaknesses. Our weaknesses are our strengths. They're large and lumbering. We're small and ingenious and agile. And just a little bit, David Graeber, wonderful person, says, we want to go back to the founding of this country, when the Onondaga ambassador, was meeting with the founding fathers, and he was exasperated, and he held up one arrow and said, "You can break one arrow. I hold up 6 arrows. You can't break it." And the founding fathers were like, "Oh, oh," and it was the Seneca, the Onondaga, the Mohawk, the Cayuga, the Oneida, who said, democracy, what a good idea. You need the Council of Grandmothers with the veto, and where are your women? And what is this thing called slavery? What do you guys, you got a ways to go. And then Graeber says, you know, this myth of democracy starting in Greece, he goes, no, the Greeks, the only thing they did was invent the word democracy, and it was an aspersion, like people. And he said, but we have democracies everywhere, and communities can change in an instant,
Yep.
And
Yep.
just to briefly to go back, you know, when the Puritans arrived here, they were appalled that the indigenous people did not beat their children or their wives. They're like, you don't beat your children or your wives? What are you, uncivilized? Oh, it's appalling. And the settlers, some of which began to hang out with the indigenous people, and the Puritans were like, no, it's very bad. You might not beat your children and your wives, you know, whatever. And the first people to be called Americans were indigenous people called Americans by the settlers. The settlers who admired their reverence for life. So yeah, so we call on them, and then also Harriet Tubman and all people born 1822 to 20 to 21, Neptune-Uranus conjunction, the power of liberating metaphor. Harriet Tubman was an animist, and then we have Matthew Arnold and Mary Baker Eddy and Walt Whitman and I mean, so we call, you know, everybody by affinity, you know, call in your allies. So yes, a fair
Yeah.
summation.
Call in the allies,
Call in the
the
allies.
ancestors, from the
Right.
ancestors.
Metaphoric, Dark Moon Lilith, fairy tale, humans in our own lineage. Yeah.
That's very, very good. That's very good. I just wrote that down. That's essential to
We are
reconnect
humbled.
with the past.
We are humbled in the face of the enormous cruelty
Yeah.
we've invoked on all of our kin, on flora, fauna, fungi. Yeah.
Well, I think there's no doubt, Carolyn, that people have a deep awareness that things are falling apart, and it's almost impossible to connect the dots and discern a deeper meaning. And that lostness is giving way to despair. And despair is the breeding ground for racism, polarization, xenophobia, tyranny, genocide, and all the other cruelties that are out there. And our job at Humanity Rising and the Chartres community and Ubiquity University and all what you're doing is to really give people a sense of the deeper meaning. And I think by calling the ancestors, calling the allies from the great ones who've lived and been challenged as we are and triumphed and conquered the dark side, those are going to be our great help in time of need in our present moment. Is that what that's essentially what you're seeking to say?
Yes. And I'm just answering Mary in the chat going, yes, coyotenetworknews.com. I do individual sessions as well as many fun things. And will we get a copy of the chat? Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
Part
Okay.
of the
So,
recording.
so yes, absolutely. You know, calling in the ancestors, dedicating power of dedication, our own autonomy, you
Yeah,
know, power of
gotcha.
blessing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we began today, the point overhead was 3+ Aquarius, which is calling in, restoring a lost condition of spirituality to the world. We go, right, that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Well,
yes.
Carolyn, thank you so much. This has been clear and compelling. It's about community, everyone. It's about navigating uncertainty from a point
Oh,
of deeper meaning. It's about creating allies from
and
the ancestor world to
and
create a new
and
story. That's our
and,
challenge for 2025.
and horizontal organizing. One last little thing, I can't help
Yeah.
myself. So David Graeber in the Democracy Project, really useful. And he's meeting with Tahrir Square, you know, activists who were happy if they called a gathering and 3,000 people showed up. But tyranny comes down, so people can't talk. But they notice that their cab drivers are very like can say anything. So all of the activists get into different cabs and tell their cab drivers, "We hear there's a gathering at 4 p.m. today at Tahrir Square." 500,000 people showed up because of the cab drivers. So when tyranny comes down, there's ingenuity, trickster around that, onto the next story.
Yes. Yes.
Despair into the cauldron, ingenuity and availability out. We are. We are available to mystery and willing to participate. That's all that the divine wants us to say.
Yeah. And the force is with us.
And the metaphors be with us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then in closing, everyone, I want to remind you, I put the link to our Chartres course in the chat box. That's going to be an unbelievable opportunity. And we're working on a special surprise in addition to Veda that we'll be announcing in the next week or two, maybe on the next community call. And I also put in the chat the link to the course starting this Wednesday through next Sunday with Bertie Jaworski on learning remote viewing for ET contact. So if you want to get into that domain, which in my view is critical to the new story that Caroline's talking about, that course starts on Wednesday. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Caroline. This has been beautiful. This has been beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. See you next month.